Ahoy, this is Zdenka. Q&A video today all about smartphone filmmaking. You asked about compatibility, frame rates, native camera app, Gimbals apps, Filmmaker Pro, vlogging with smartphone, vlogging kits for smartphones. And if you are new here, welcome. My name is Zdenka Darula. If you want to learn how to take better photos and videos with the latest gear and possibly participate in creative camera challenges, consider subscribing. Well, the questions are in. I actually really read them a few times and I printed the ones which are repeating quite often and I placed them into different segments. The first one is starting right now, and that would be the compatibility. One question I get asked every single day is, for example, I have a phone Aochuan, I have a Google Pixel, I have an iPhone 12 Pro Max, I have a UA phone. Which gimbal is compatible with my phone? Which one should I buy? Well, I have here Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus and I do have here iPhone 12 Pro. I don't have other phones, so I can't physically test your phone, that type you have, with those gimbals, and I don't know what you exactly get in the app. All Androids are very different. For example, this one might get you 4K in DJI Mimo. Your phone might only get you 1080p. So before you decide which gimbal to get, you should do a few things. What is the maximum payload? How heavy is your phone? Can you fit into the payload? Depending on what you are planning on doing, if you want to add extra lenses and such, you might want to reach for a gimbal which has much larger payload if you already have a heavy phone. Next, you should look at the gimbal's website and see what is the compatibility with your phone. They should have it on their websites. What I would also try to do is actually downloading the Gimbals app on the phone and see if I can access it without connecting the actual gimbal. Some apps will allow you to do that, and then I would see exactly what I'm getting with my phone. And lastly, no joke here, check return policy before you buy it. So if you're not happy, you can return it and get a different one. By the way, I created a few videos where I'm comparing all the gimbals here I have. I'm gonna list it below the video. You will find a lot of answers there already. Next question, how to lock exposure without locking the focus and how to lock exposure with the follow face feature. I am in DJI Mimo now. The white square in the middle is the center focus. That would be the default focus of the smartphone. So to be able to keep that but change the exposure, you will simply tap in the square on the plus sign to activate the yellow exposure square. Then, drag the sun up and down until you are happy with the exposure. Quickly go back on the square and hold it for a few seconds until you get the lock. Now, the exposure is locked. Obviously, if you are filming a person which is not in a center but somewhere on the side, then you will tap with the finger on the person's face to focus, and then with the sun next to it, drag it up and down to adjust the exposure, back again on that square, hold it for a few seconds until you lock it. When you want to do the face follow feature, you would lock the exposure first. I would tap on the face of the person or myself, adjust the exposure with the sun, lock it by tapping and holding the square. Now it is locked and now I select the person to follow. This is the way I do it. In native camera app on the iPhone, you can also lock the exposure. You just drag the sun up and down and quickly press the record button. If you wait too long, it will go back to automatic. At least I didn't find another way of doing it. Even though you lock the exposure, you cannot lock the white balance, so you're gonna end up with colorful videos. So for that reason, I would film in DJI Mimo instead. On Android in native camera app, I see that now they added the lock, so you can lock it very easily. Let's talk about limitations of gimbal movements, all those gimbals I have here. Low angle filming troubles: movement, pacing, and timing. Few of you were asking to address the limitation of gimbals when it comes to mainly filming in low angles. Some of you said that you are having a trouble filming with larger phones, you are hitting the motors. Few of you also requested another video when it comes to covering all gimbal moves, timing, and pacing. In this video, I'm going to cover the limitation of the movements with gimbals. Another video coming up, which I'm currently working on, will have all the gimbal moves, timing, and pacing, so make sure you subscribe to this channel if you're not already. I've got here smartphone gimbals, which I reviewed in the past. I haven't covered this part in the comparison review, so let's look at the low ground shots. For these, I usually have my gimbal in the follow mode, because if I have another mode, it will restrict the movements. I think that might be actually the trouble right there, the wrong mode. First gimbal I have here is the DJI OM4. I have it on follow mode and I have the larger phone. I'm actually gonna be trying all the gimbals with this larger phone. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna go straight down, and I don't see any problem. I don't see phone hitting the motor, and straight back up. So straight down. And I can do nicely low shots and straight up. Now, if I'm gonna go this way, it's not good because the motors are gonna cover the lenses, so don't go sideways, just go straight down like that. There is no issue with movement on the motors. It's actually very nice and smooth. I don't see any problems that it would be hitting. Next up is Zhiyun Smooth Q2, and this one I'm gonna put again on follow mode, so the motors are nicely working, and I'm just gonna go down. This one is very smooth, actually. It feels really smooth with the moves, and go back up. So going down, no problems with anything hitting motors. Next up, I have the Aochuan Smart XR, and so when I'm gonna go to the low angle, sometimes the motors don't like it too much. So you pretty much need to do that very slow. You need to give the gimbal time. When you do that very slow, it will go to low angle, no problem. But if you do it very fast, it will create trouble. So this gimbal is not the best when it comes to movements. Show you again. Now it's stuck. So very slow, and it's fine. You just have to learn how to work with this one, I guess. Another gimbal is Moza Mini MX, and with this one, it is very smooth. Even though I'm noticing that when I just go up, it will stop in this position and I double tap to make it straight. Or I have to go down, go a little bit beyond to get the phone perfectly this way. The same thing when I go up, I have to go beyond to get the phone perfectly straight up, or I have to double tap. With a smaller phone, I don't have that issue. It's just with this larger phone. So I'm going down, I have to pull back more. Otherwise, all other movements are completely fine. There's no issue that there will be motor getting stuck on the phone or stuff like that. Last gimbal I have here is the Moza Mini P, and obviously with this gimbal I can do whatever I want because it's just very different type of gimbal. It's the same thing like the large gimbals for large cameras, so there's no problems with any type of movement whatsoever. What is the best way to mount microphones, lights, and extra accessories to the gimbals? Before I say anything, everything I'm going to be showing in today's video is actually listed below the video in the video description, so you don't need to ask me in the comments, where can I buy this? Whenever you're going to mount something on the phone directly, like lenses, you will need to use counterweights to balance it, otherwise you will work the motors very hard and drain the battery as well. What you also need to take in consideration is the maximum payload. So you need to make sure your phone with the extra lens combined together with the counterweights is not more than the allowed payload. When you're shopping for a gimbal, you need to know in advance if you are gonna be putting all the extra stuff on the phone, or if you're gonna be filming only with the smartphone and the gimbal. The only extra lens I use right now is the anamorphic lens, and I also use variable ND filter when I film. To balance the phone better with the DJI Mimo, I use these counterweights. I can attach it to OM4 because there is a dedicated hole where you can screw it in. On the other gimbals, you don't have these options. There's no more arm to mount it on, so you have to mount some clamp directly on the phone. The only gimbal which doesn't need anything like that is Moza Mini P, since it is built for small digital cameras and action cameras. You just rebalance the gimbal. It is the same thing like with the large gimbals for large cameras. When it comes to microphones, there are a few options. You can use this ring adapter, which mounts directly on the gimbal, and this one is made for DJI OM4. Or you can use this arm, which you mount to the bottom of the gimbal for other gimbals. You have to make sure the wire from the microphone is extremely loose, or you will pull the phone and the motors won't work. Some people are using earbuds as an option. A few days ago, I was super excited because I discovered these Bluetooth microphones on Amazon. They have 3 kinds. They are not cheap. So I went ahead and I ordered one. I was hoping that I can just connect it via Bluetooth and I can use all the apps with it and there would be no wires and stuff like that. The problem would be solved for good. Well, I got extremely disappointed because you have to download a special app with those microphones and you cannot use it with native camera app. You cannot use it with DJI Mimo and all the other apps. You can only use it with this app. There are filming options there, like you can do some filming in manual mode, but there are restrictions. There's no 24 frames per second and all that. So to me, unfortunately, for us, for filming with gimbals, it is kind of useless. This would be only good when you are doing live streaming, for example, or if you're doing some sort of meetings, that type of thing. But for filming with smartphone gimbals, don't consider it, unfortunately, because you cannot use it with those apps. When it comes to light, you can mount a small RGB light on the ring adapter or this arm. Keep in mind though that the light will be in a low angle and it's not very flattering if you are lighting a person or yourself like this. The best way would be to light up a person from the top. So if you have a friend with you, make sure that the friend is maybe holding the light on you like this. But if you are vlogging by yourself and your only option is to light up yourself with that kind of clamp, that's what you can do. Otherwise, I would just bring a physical stand and lit up myself like that. But that kind of light from the bottom, it's not very flattering. What are the advantages of using Gimbals app versus using native camera app, which has many functions? Well, we are talking about Android phones, right? When to switch from an app to use just native camera app? When you use an iPhone, it is a no-brainer. The native camera app really doesn't have much, so I'm the one who would be mostly using the DJI Mimo, Filmic Pro or ProTake app because I like to film in manual mode. When it comes to Android, it is a whole different story. Yes, the native camera app is very good. You have the Pro video section there on some phones. Look at it this way. When you are filming in regular video or slow motion, you can really use any app you like. The only trouble you might run into would be if you want to change the gimbal's modes, like for example, DJI OM4 here. You cannot change the gimbal's modes if you are not filming in DJI Mimo. If you have another gimbal where you can change the modes by clicking on the buttons, then you're free to film in any app you like. The Gimbals app has other things which you might want to use. We are talking about motion lapses, using tracking features. You can select the person and the gimbal will turn the phone to follow the person. You can try their stories, which have templates. It's a fun way to create little short videos with music and transitions and all that. You don't have to do much there, just do whatever they say. And I know that a lot of people like to film in manual mode, they like to control everything. I'm one of them. I prefer ProTake app. I like that one the best, and I film with the Moza Mini P because again, I have all the freedom and I can change the modes on the gimbal. It works for my style, for what I'm doing. One thing I need to really mention though, that when it comes to Android, I was experiencing that a lot when I was filming some videos in native camera app and then I switched to DJI Mimo and I was trying to then combine those videos together. I noticed that each app was giving me different colors, and I had a very hard time putting it together. The video didn't look great. So I would say pick one app and just stick with it. Frame rates, compatibility issues on Android, only 30 frames per second. How to mix frame rates with time lapses and slow motion. Or when to use slow motion, what is ideal frames per second for videos. If I mix hyperlapse and slow motion, outdoor action shots, please compare to normal cameras. This is a very good question. I can see that 6 people like this question, so I'm definitely gonna create a separate video on that very soon. What I can say for now is that each Android phone is different, and each gimbal offers different options in their apps. Some offer only 30 frames per second, others offer more, like 24, 60, 120, 240 frames per second. If your phone shows that you can only film in 30 frames per second, for example, DJI Mimo, then there is really nothing you can do about it. If you really want to film in 24 frames per second, then you will have to use Filmic Pro or Pro Take. But then you're not gonna be able to get the features like face tracking or beauty mode or the other fun stuff. I'm an Android user. I've been always using Android phones for many, many, many years, but last year, I got very fed up because the apps were freezing on me. Sometimes they were crashing on me. The video was jittery a lot of times. It was a nightmare sometimes to get everything going. It was too difficult. So what I did, I got the Apple phone after that. I bought the iPhone, and I can tell you straight up, it's a day and night difference. I don't like the iPhone system when it comes to the phone, but for filming, for the camera stuff, it just made my life very easy. But I'm still gonna make a video about the frame rates and all that stuff when it comes to Android phones in near future. Let's talk about the trouble with the zoom, mainly in DJI Mimo. It jumps. Yes, it does jump. Let me show you. When you use iPhone, and I have set zoom pretty fast right now, it creates this jump when it switches lenses. Ultra wide, now standard lens, and now telephoto. If you would have only one lens on the phone, I don't think this would really happen. But when you have multiple lenses, it is switching them as you are zooming, so you will never get smooth zoom. Even when you slow down the zoom in the settings, which is right here, now it is the slowest, and here it goes. Jumps are quite big. This is the way the app was designed. I'm not sure why. The same on Samsung S10 Plus, one big jump there. It's practically useless to me. I don't like the jumps either. And again, it is better to film in Filmic Pro or Pro Take and use their zoom pull to get a bit smoother zoom. It is just more time consuming to set it up. It's not like you just press the zoom button. Bottom line, it is always better to move physically. I would not really use the digital zoom because it degrades the video quality. But the only way I use digital zoom is actually in a post. I film the video in 4K and then I just do the zoom as I'm editing the video in the post on a computer. I don't understand modes, when to use what, and what type of scenes. I have created a short video in the past, I'm gonna link it below, but I'm currently working on a much updated version and it's gonna cover pretty much everything. I'm gonna show also some samples for each mode. Can you talk about transitions? Yes, coming up. Can you show different moment lenses and compare them? Well, those lenses are not exactly cheap, so I'm not able to buy all of them to review them. I'll try to talk to Moment if there's any way we can set that up. Maybe I can borrow it and just return it just for the purpose of reviewing. We'll see. I'll keep you posted. Is EIS kept turned on? Can I use DJI Mimo for action shots? Will the magnetic holder hold over very rough terrain? First of all, I don't turn off anything on the phone. And when it comes to magnetic holder, to be very honest, I have to really apply. Look how much force I have to apply to remove it. So it's a very strong magnet. But when it comes to action sports, like biking over rough terrain and all that stuff, I would personally get appropriate camera for that, like an action camera. Those are made for it. When you are using this, if you have it strapped on you, something you fall, you break the phone, you break the gimbal, or actually it's got a lot of sticks, so it can stick into you, can get hurt pretty badly. So my opinion on that kind of stuff is get appropriate action camera. Hit the thumbs up if you found it informative, and all the videos I was mentioning in today's video are coming up, so subscribe if you're not subscribed already. If you have any questions, comments, if you want to actually see some certain videos when it comes to smartphone filmmaking, don't be shy, write it below in a comment section below, and I'll see you, my friends, in the next video. Ciao, ahoj!